I didn't exactly make any New Year's resolutions, but I did set a bunch of goals at the beginning of January that I wanted to achieve by the end of the month. So I guess I did. I'm just going to go ahead and say I made some New Year's resolutions. Whether I meant to or not, I did. And one of them was to address and I guess like improve my mental state. There's a lot going on upstairs that I generally just choose not to speak about because it feels embarrassing and it feels very vulnerable. What I'm experiencing basically is called depersonalization disorder, and I've had it for 4.5 years. What I have is like severe depersonalization disorder. About 4.5 years ago, I experienced an event that my mind perceived as a traumatic one, and what happened doesn't matter. So I'm not really going to get into that. It's not that important, but and I don't think it was because of that event alone. I think there were like a lot of other factors. So what your brain can do in those situations is decide like this is too overwhelming, this is too much, I don't want to be a part of this. And so your brain is like, I'm gonna not be a part of life anymore, basically. And then essentially like it sort of like dulls everything. It's to this day like the scariest, strangest thing. It also creates these feelings of just detachment and also derealization, in which everything in your world, it just feels like sort of fake and two-dimensional and like you're in a movie. I found out what I was experiencing when I watched a video by Dodie Clark, Doddle. I think it was about depersonalization, anxiety, and depression, and I didn't know what depersonalization was. I had no idea what that was. She was explaining the feeling of depersonalization and the feeling of just being off and like the really the lack of connection, just that whole thing. And I was like, I get this. This makes sense to me. I relate to this so much, and no one has ever talked about this. Dodie left some articles at the bottom of her video that I clicked on and read and found out more about what depersonalization was. And I watched a couple videos and like read like this article that was like 100% exactly spot on what I was experiencing. And I'd been looking for that article for 4 years. I found this about half a year ago, Dodie's video. For 4 years, I was just experiencing this sensation or lack thereof and non-connection and feeling like quite truly I was going actually insane. And I don't say that lightly or like I feel like I'm going crazy, like because people say like I feel like I'm going crazy over their homework. It's not like, oh man, I feel like I'm going crazy. It's an actual true feeling of this is what it must feel like to lose my mind, because there's no other explanation for that sensation. I feel like all the time that I've spent in this condition is time lost. Like I haven't really experienced, I've got like 3 different jobs in the past. I've done during this. I've lost, my grandmother, my mom. I was in all these plays and stuff. I made some new friends and a best friend or two, like really close people that I've met, and all these things are happening over the course of these four years, and it feels like none of those things mattered because I didn't connect to any of them. I wasn't there for them. It's like I was not present, and I couldn't be present because my mind was not there. All my senses are dulled. Like if I touch something, it feels like I'm not really. It almost feels like I'm not actually interacting with this hat right here. Like it's like my hands are sort of like slipping off of it. It's a very, very strange feeling. I think the scariest part though was the 4 years of not knowing that I had depersonalization, and not knowing how to deal with it, and not knowing what it was, and thinking that like my whole life is just ruined. Like I just have nothing for me anymore. Like that's just how I felt. Like, well, that's it. This is how I go. And I didn't feel like living. thinking that it was something that was irreversible. But now that I have a name for this, like beast, and I can like grab some tools and fight it, but I just had no idea what it was, so I didn't know how to fight it. Like, I don't feel like I was being complacent or lazy about it, or ignoring what I was going through necessarily. I did try ignoring it though. That doesn't work. One of the best words I can think of is like foreign. Everything seems foreign. Like my room that I am in right now, that I've designed and like put in a lot of time into, dang it, still feels kind of like it's not mine. It just feels like I'm not in this world, and it's not. And like everything is not my own. My hands feel like they're not mine. Another thing is the way in which I feel things. I experience everything the same. I experience happiness, sadness, angry. The whole emotions, basically, in a nutshell. I experience them, but like I don't experience the sadness of the cry. I just experience a cry. Or like when I laugh, I don't experience the joy of the laughter. I just experience the laugh or the smile, but not the joy of it. As my stress level increases, all of my symptoms increase dramatically. Oh, this is important though. This is the worst part for me, or maybe the second worst part. No, probably the third. I don't know. There's a lot of worse parts. I cannot relax for the life of me. And again, when I say this, I'm not exaggerating. It's not like I have trouble relaxing after a hard day's work. No, like there's no off switch. I could have gotten the best massage in the world and then walked out into the most comfortable outfit, laid down on the beach with a drink in my hand and like my favorite book in the other hand, and like just the sound of like the beautiful birds and waves and maybe even my favorite person right next to me, and like every perfect condition, and I would not be able to settle into it. One of the actual symptoms of it, another one, oh my goodness, is the need to kind of like the way the mind works around it is that it naturally just obsesses over it. So your mind is going to obsess about having depersonalization. That's just the way that it is. And you can fight that. It's really difficult because that's just the way that your mind is going to handle things, because that's the lens through which you see everything now. Since it's like a freaking movie, you're going to think about how movie-like and strange everything is all the time. Fun fact, this tends to happen to like people who are pretty young, creative types, people who like music and art and things like that. Me. People who are sensitive. Me. I think it happens more to males than females. Look at me. It's totally me. Every piece of who this normally happens to is me, so I'm like, okay, I get it. So I think the takeaway from all of this is my goal is to address my depersonalization disorder, and I feel like I didn't do it justice talking about it, but I also felt like I talked too much about it. I think if anyone's experiencing depersonalization, like there are people who have, plenty of people have posted that are like, I got better type things. But this is a video that's not there yet. This one, and I don't see many like this, is just like, hey, this is where I'm at right now. That feels like really hopeless, but I don't think that it is. And I think that's important to mention for anyone who like maybe stumbled upon this video before finding other ones. Like, don't freak out. Like after I found out what this was, about half a year ago, I got a lot of hope. And I was thinking, like, you know what? Things can be okay. I really believe that I can and will get better. It's a lot of fighting. It's a lot of work. I've actually had some breakthrough moments. And this is really important. Like, I feel like this is so important to say. Like, this isn't a hopeless thing. I'd be more than willing to talk to anyone who's experiencing this or anything else that's just, like, too much for words. Like, I'm so willing. I'm easy to contact. I guess I'll just leave all my stuff in the description or something. Thanks for watching. I know my content's been a little heavier than normal, but wow, the lighting got way worse during the course of this video. I didn't realize. Looks good on me though, so it's okay. But anyways, yeah, my content, my videos have been a little heavier lately, but so has my heart, and that is why my videos are as such. That's just the way it is. I would rather, if my heart is feeling heavy, I'd rather make a heavier video than pretend to be lighthearted and because that just feels fake. Talk to me anytime, and I will see you when I do. I'm still not on any sort of schedule, sort of addressing a thing right now, as you can tell, a few things, but yeah. Anyways, I'll see you guys. Bye.